Hey Javier, we just bought this house in May 2022 in a beautiful community. Let's not say the community, let's just say it's a city that's been greatly affected by Airbnbs this year. The home was a remodel that was purchased in 2020 for $540,000. They claim to have spent $150,000 in an extensive remodel and square footage addition. And I'll tell you what, they did an amazing job. It looks like a beautiful modern house straight out of HGTV. It seemed like a no-brainer because of two reasons. One, we have just been beat out in 3 other houses, and it seemed like everyone was getting houses except us. Also, the houses were rising rapidly in value, and we were tired of missing out on opportunities. This house was listed for $850,000, and we were able to win a multiple offer situation by offering $890,000. I just got offered an amazing opportunity to work in another state, and I was floored to see how values had tanked in my area. There are a few homes for sale in the 700s. Can you confirm what our situation is and let us know what our options are? From Sam. Well, Sam, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. First and foremost, I looked up the data in your specific neighborhood and I did pull up some comparables. When we're looking up comparables, we're not just looking at houses for sale. We're looking at solds, because that's going to give us a better indication of what people are actually paying for in your area. First things first, what happened? Well, I looked up the housing values in your specific zip code, and your area had a very volatile effect. We can see here, starting as early as 2020, like even before the pandemic, there was an extreme rise of values there. And it was a really rapid, like a really intense increase. I've seen these charts before because I'm doing a lot of data analysis in different areas, but this specific area is kind of crazy. I've never seen a curve that steep, right? Especially towards the end, it turns into like a really deep summit. Like literally in a few months, it grew like almost $100,000. Your area is interesting because not only was a few the usual suspects and issues such as and cash investors trying to go into the area to buy up as much property as possible, buyers having to compete with these cash buyers or amongst themselves by overbidding intensely for these houses because they're trying to really desperately get a house with a low interest rate. But the thing in your area that's really interesting is the Airbnb effect, because looking in your area, there is a lot of Airbnbs. Not only that, but there's a lot of flippers, right? A lot of people trying to get into that neighborhood, buy something super cheap and flip it and sell it to somebody who wants the Airbnb, right? So it's not just people buying it for that specific reason. So this specific zip code, I think, got an extra dose of steroids because of that. The first lesson I have for not only you, but anybody watching this video is based off a comment I got about yesterday, actually, from someone named Alex Gronseth. Nobody complaining when it goes the opposite and it goes up 50,000 in a year. And think about it. If you're seeing extreme increases in something, there's usually going to be a follow-up reaction to increased drops. And there's going to be a really intense FOMO effect where you're afraid of missing out of an opportunity, right? You may be seeing other people getting rich because they happen to buy before this huge spike and they're making all this a ton of equity. But next time you're buying a house, doesn't matter where you're buying or how long ago from now, or if you're buying within a year or two, if you're buying in a specific area where there's extreme increases happening, I would personally avoid that area. I would instead try to find something with a little more less steeper lines. I want things that are more consistent, more passive. Yes, if you're less of a gambling person, you're not going to be happy about like, oh, I want to make a bunch of equity. But if you're putting yourself in a gambling situation where you're going to make a bunch of equity, you're also putting yourself in a position of losing a bunch of equity. But of course, all of this requires a crystal ball or a time machine to know exactly when the tops are going to be and when the bottoms are going to be. So I don't blame you for putting yourself in this position. Another key lesson here for people to take away is instead of taking a loss as okay, time to really step up and next time I'm going to fight harder, I want you to take it for what it is. It's nothing personal. That someone else was simply crazier and wanted to offer more to get it. Now, I'm not saying that, $890 would have been the price. You could have got it for $870, $880. I wasn't there in that position, and maybe that was the magical number that happened. But for anyone else in the future who find themselves in a situation where they have to offer $40,000, $50,000 above price, really ask yourself if it's the best idea to do it. And really ask yourself, am I doing this because of the extreme emotions that's surrounding this purchase right now? Or am I doing this because I want to? But we don't know this person's situation. They might have thought this house was the one of their dreams that they were never going to leave with, right? Because it's going to happen again. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but there will be another intense real estate waves either going up or going down even. We don't know what's going to happen, but next time something like that happens, let's make sure to keep emotions out of it and to take rejections better and really prepare ourselves mentally for that, because it is intense. Like, it shouldn't be a justification to say, well, we're getting rejected, so we did this. Once again, I really appreciate you guys emailing me and using your examples so other people can learn. But no, I say this with love, and I say this as an opportunity for other people to educate themselves. Now that we have the lessons and we understand the situation a little better, let's get into the actual specifics of the house. All right, Sam, so I pulled up your house, and I have to say, the photos are absolutely stunning. You're right. The flipper who bought this did an amazing job. This is literally goals. Like, I think it's hard for anyone to say, no, I wouldn't buy that house. This house is absolutely gorgeous, and good for you. You bought a house. So here's the thing. You're looking at active houses right now, and you're saying, oh man, $700,000. That means I lost $100,000 of equity here. Here's the number we're really going to focus on. And this is going to really suck, but we have to address it. You put approximately $175,000 down. Okay, so you buy your house for $890, but your loan amount is it's been about a year, so about $710. Okay, my goal is to find out, did you lose your down payment? Did those $175,000 just vanish and they're now gone from the society? So you bought your house for $890,000. If I look at what's active and what's for sale in that specific neighborhood, there are 7 houses for sale. So congratulations, that's great. They range as far as $665, $750, and good news, I even see one for $898, which, if this is beautifully remodeled, very modern, obviously someone bought this and had the same vision you did, or the person that you bought from did, and made this a super remodeled like beauty. Like, holy gosh, like this is stunning. But here's the thing about actives. We can look at actives all day, but there's no indication of actual value. I can put a house for sale in your area for $5 million. That doesn't necessarily mean that area is now selling houses worth that $5 million. If we're looking simply at actives, I would say that this one listed at $898 is probably a little more remodeled than yours. So the ones that more match your style and your type of house are in the $750,000 range, which would put you in a reasonably good position, because I was like, hey, I only lost $40,000 of equity. That's great. The reality is it's worse than that. After looking for similar square foot homes in the mile radius of your neighborhood, I found 2 very similar model match houses. These are older houses, so they're not exactly model matches, but very, very similar houses, same layout, same everything, remodeled. And one sold for $598 and the other one sold for $600. This means on average, your house is worth about $600, low $600,000 range. So the reality is you've lost about $200,000 to $300,000 of value. You could make the argument that these aren't as remodeled. Like, hey, these are nice, they have decent flooring, but there wasn't any like structural changes like yours. The other one is actually pretty nice too. But that's the thing that's really unfortunate, is it looks like you might be much more underwater than you think you are. Don't let the active houses fool you. Now, this is intense bad news, and I'm sure no one wants to hear this, but let's kind of go over our solutions here. As many people mentioned in the previous video I did about this, real estate is a long game, right? I'm sure you weren't expecting to sell within a year or 2 years. I hope you weren't, at least. So I understand, like, I get how intense it may be, but if anyone is looking to buy, you shouldn't be looking at considering a house for an extended period of time. And I think a lot of problem that we have is we buy a house and we look at it as a stock, right? We're checking the values on it every month. We're checking the values on it every 3 months, 6 months, like some people even daily. I hope you don't do that. And you're just obsessed over the value of your house, even though you have no intention of selling it anytime soon. You having equity in your house is somehow so gratifying to you. Like, this is amazing. But the reality is the value of the house should only matter when you're actually genuinely interested in selling it, which is hopefully 20, 30 years, 10 years, 15 years from then, right? That's why I have actually a personal dream of mine where I have 3 kids, and my goal is to buy 3 little houses for each one of those kids. So, when they turn 18, 19, 20, I'm going to give them the option. Do you want to keep it as a long-term investment? Do you want to sell it and get that money to help pay for your college or your business or whatever you want? Or do you want to just go live in it and start your life there or whatever, right? And I'm not really worried if it goes up or down in value, because I know 10 to like 18 years from now, when that time comes, if they're not in an equity position, then they can hold on to it for a long term. We're not going to focus on the short term. We're going to focus on the long term. And looking at the values in your specific neighborhood, I can see that, yes, they went down till February, a sharp low, but they're starting to kind of peak up, and they're nowhere near the top where it was last year, but it's starting to slowly advance. And the more you hold on to your house, even though you're at a loss of equity right now, the more likelihood that you eventually put yourself in a positive equity situation and you'll be okay. But this requires you to hold on to your house for a longer period of time. So if you are going to explore another option in another state, well, then you need to probably look into long-term renting. So you're going to find someone you can rent it out for. Now, your payment isn't cheap, I'm assuming, at a $700K loan amount. But let me just do a quick search to see what you can rent your house for. The $2,000 ones are kind of on the cheaper end, but the remodeled ones there's one at $3,500 that's rented out, and there's one for $4,000. So there's people paying in the $3,000 to $4,000 range. And I don't know if that's near your monthly payment or not, because you didn't share that with me, but maybe it's close, and you can put yourself in a position where, yeah, you're going to have to make a little payment every month, but you're not taking the big giant hit, and you hold on to it. Whatever happens in whatever state you're in, you stay there extended period of time, or you don't, or maybe, if you have a partner, one of you guys stay here and the other person goes, and you guys can figure something out. But yes, you did put yourself in a predicament because you're not in a position to just get rid of it, but it's just how the cards fell, right? Once again, we're all so obsessed with this idea of mass property losses, but the reality is this person put themselves in a position where they have options. Yeah, they can't just simply leave their house, but they can figure something out. You can look into selling it, and you probably can do a short sale or something like that, or see if someone is willing to pay at least a little bit over what you owe, so that way you're not at a complete loss. But honestly, hold on to it. I would hold on to it for a longer period of time and hold on. I'm sure your interest rate is way cheaper than it would have been if you would have just bought now. And I think in my last video, I actually did that calculation because somebody emailed me, but they weren't selling. They just wanted to know what their situation is. So you can look at that video so you can get a little more. But for you in your example, I would recommend you just to chill out for a bit. It's going to be okay. Find something or a solution to maybe hold on to it. So some kind of long-term rental or short-term rental, hold on to it and hang on for the next 5 to 10 years. It'll work out. Try not to freak out. You may not be able to buy in the new state, but it is what it is. If you want to check out the other video, here is the link. I appreciate everybody who's watching this. Thank you so much.